Welcome to Cape Connect. Cape Connect does Cape issues, Cape people, Cape personalities, and we're very special today with a painter. I met her on the beach, and we'll tell you that story. Emily Jean.
Hi.
You have got such wonderful pictures here, and we like to talk about not only how you paint them, but the fact that you are connected to music in the time that some of them are being painted. You're a performance artist.
That is correct, Al.
Yeah, and so I've learned these things gradually, having met you at Red River Beach. And that's quite a story. I mean, I tell it to as many people as I can, because I'm interested, as a retired scientist, I'm interested in all the beauty in nature. And sure enough, occasionally the clouds are just right. Now, you do wonderful clouds, but the clouds are just right. And there are small hexagonal crystals in the clouds that give rise to halos and glories and pillars and sundogs. And so there I was one late afternoon looking at sundogs. What are they? On either side of the sun, about 22 degrees on either side, a little rainbow, but it looks like another sun and another sun. And I'm telling everybody on the beaches I go by, look at that sundog, look at that sundog. And all of a sudden, here's this woman with a dog, actually,
Yeah.
and I say, sundog, and you say, well, maybe I painted one of those and you want me to come back to your car, this red speed. What kind of car is it? I love
It's
it.
a Mustang.
Oh boy, zoom, and come back and look at some of these pictures that I've done of sunsets, and they were so lovely, and so that was the beginning of a long association.
Yeah, I was very intrigued with your art. Al had explained to me how he uses computers to direct his art, and I was very curious, and we kept in contact, and because of you, I was able to do a lot of things here at the Cape Cod Media Center, including doing a performance painting on Live for Center Stage, and I also did my own exhibit here, all thanks to Al and a chance meeting at Red River Beach, right?
Thanks
here in
to the
Harwich.
sundog and.
And the sundog, I had never heard of a sundog until I met you.
When I found you in the next year.
Yeah,
again,
it was a year later,
there was
that's
a,
right.
a red Mustang, and there was a bigger dog. And I thought, well, maybe. And sure enough,
it was
Yeah.
me, and we ran into each other again, and then again this year. It was almost a year later. We ran into each other again. And
that's for sure.
thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate the chance
it's a
to talk
pleasure.
about
I think
my
people
art.
are going to really come to understand how these amazing paintings are created. Because when I do symmetry pictures and wave pictures, it's only with help of the computer. You're an artist.
That is right.
Yeah.
And I decided a couple years back that instead of just sitting in my room and listening to music and painting, that I would get out there into the world and set up my easel and paints while a band was performing at a concert, music festivals, and just paint to the music, be inspired by the music. And that's why my paintings range from everything from sunsets to boats to abstract.
Yeah, well,
I mean, this piece here is very abstract, but it's because
yes,
of the
I
music.
think some of your things are. Is that a world that you're depicting? Could that be real? No. What are those things? And it doesn't matter because it's the shape and the color and the form, and so we won't talk about what they may look like because. They may not be what we think they look like.
Of course, that's the great thing about art. It's very interpretive. And a lot of people who have watched me paint have influenced the painting as it happened. I mean, a perfect example would be the one that I did over here. And there were a lot of fishermen in the audience when I did this painting, and I was very inspired to do a boat-like scene, and then also put a little tiny tuna fish right in the sky there, because, you know, when you're live painting, everything that's going on around you is part of my performance. I like to paint what I call sound, or ideas interpreted by sound. So a lot of music that doesn't have words, I can see a lot of imagery in it, and painting helps me express that, and I feel very grateful for all the bands that let me paint to them and paint their music, and it's really an honor to be here to show you and explain it.
When you go to such a performance, do you know ahead of time what you might be creating? You don't have ahead of time, sort of like a college professor knows a lecture that he's about to give, even though it looks spontaneous.
Well, if I know the band, if I know what kind of music they are, I'll have an idea whether it's going to be an upbeat band, a very fast band, or an electronic band. Probably going to be more abstract, where a band has a lot of lyrics or is very mellow. I know the painting will probably have a more soothing, mellow feel, but really it all depends on what's happening at the moment. And artists take forever to finish a painting, and I make myself finish a painting at the end of the performance. So it's a lot of pressure,
Yeah, well,
start to finish in a performance.
well, some of them came close. Now I was here when you did at Live at Center Stage. I was here when you did this particular piece.
Yes, that was to the Accidentals, a lovely up-and-coming group of young women, and their drummer was a male, but it was a very, very, very inspiring show, and it was only 45 minutes long. So to paint something that large in 45 minutes was a challenge, and I was very happy with the way it came out. Their lyrics really inspired me for a lot of it.
And the brush strokes that you have, some are the clouds are wispy, you know, a large brush for them, but you have to go over them for the highlights, and you know, how does it all happen? I mean,
well, it's you know, I have a lot of credit to thank to my family. My uncle and my dad are both painters. They taught me a lot of what I knew, and it just kind of developed the style of painting, but it is the rhythm and the music that actually helps me with the brush strokes. And you know, if the music's very slow and it's very, you know, a slow temperature, it's just, you know, nice, easy brush strokes. And then when it picks up its pace, it's like, you know, then those are the short strokes. Those are the highlights.
And you change the brush?
Always,
size?
yeah. There's hardly any time to ever really clean a brush and reuse it with a different color when you're performing live. So I have, you know, 100 brushes, just to round number it. But every brush has its purpose. I kind of know which brushes do what things best. But it's, you know, it's just really the music. And I feel like a lot of that performance goes into the piece, and the music itself is captured in the piece. And I don't go back to a piece after the show and try to finish it, because I lose that energy, that live music energy.
Well, this one up here, a red sunset, my word, a crashing wave, some ships in the distance.
Yeah, very inspired by Cape Cod, very Cape Cod inspired.
Yeah.
And a lot of my paintings that I don't get to do at musical shows, I will do at the beach. I mean, the ocean itself has its own melody to me, and just listening to the sound of the waves and seeing boats or hearing the birds.
Well, that's certainly true for this one over here, but up here, all those hooks dangling for that, to catch that whale, is it?
Actually, it's a giant bluefin tuna, which I emphasized how giant it is.
Oh, man.
And the empty hooks really go to symbolize how crafty fish can be, and that they can just kind of take the bait without taking the hook. And you know, I had the opportunity to go out to George's Bank to go giant bluefin tuna fishing, and that inspired me to do a whole line of pieces with the bluefin tuna and boats, and just opened up a whole new world, which I never forgot, and took that with me into the music world. So that's why you get a painting like this with the boats and the fish, which was later on after that experience, versus a painting like this, which is before that experience fishing, which you can see really doesn't have any sort of beach feel. It's a total different time of my life. And this is an oil painting too. So
I see. You use acrylics.
I use acrylics mostly. This one was an oil painting.
Yeah. Well, acrylics give you time to change it, but not too much time, because once they're set in place, you have to paint over them, I suppose, to change them.
Yeah, well, they dry fast. Acrylics dry really fast, which is great because if you do a live performance, you have a chance to do layers. But they don't always dry, and I had that experience at a music festival where I painted a late night set for, you know, 3-4 hours. By the end of the night, I was tired. I said, you know, my stuff's going to be okay. It's right in front of the stage. I left all the paintings up for everyone to see overnight. Get there the next morning, and oh my God, the dew and the condensation melted the paints, and that created a whole new texture, a whole new effect, which then I just decided, you know what, I'm going to just run with it. There was another band playing in the morning, and I just, you know, kept on going with it, and you just live painting. You never know what's going to happen. A bug can land on your painting, you know? I mean, anything can happen, but it all, for me, is very inspiring.
Yes. Well, yeah. This one on the floor there.
That was exactly the painting I'm talking about, with the melty drippiness. Yep, that was one I left out overnight. I painted it actually to a couple different bands, Zach Deputy and a rap artist called Ghostface Killah, which was a very different style than I'm usually painting to, but you know, all music.
I'm intrigued, of course, by the more calm one. This is what you would do out of beach.
Yes, actually, that one I have the Cape Cod Artists Guild of Eastham to thank. They invited me to paint a live painting with them up in Wellfleet. Actually, no, that one was Orleans.
Orleans, yeah.
And a group of artists from the Cape, we get together on a Tuesday morning and paint what we see. And so in 2 hours, I did this painting, and that is, you know, that's just my attempt to try to make a realistic looking piece with the limited amount of time, but also a live painting.
I'm tempted to get up and pull that one up and ask you, it's more peaceful, and yet it has different colors to it. The scheme was chosen ahead of time, or?
Nope, that was a very quick performance piece, about a half-hour set, and it was very much just a very, very mellow electronic vibe, and then at the end it picked up a little bit of pace, so I kind of put in a little bit of the crazy lines because the beat had picked up a lot.
Yeah, and, but those tree shapes really writhe, you know, and that's what was going on.
Yeah, definitely different tempo of music, different style of painting, and I've had a lot of experience here painting to different types of music, and I find I am drawn to the electronic, the jam band, the music festival scene, and it's just that music really just makes me paint fast. And to finish a piece in an hour, or if you're lucky, a 2-hour set is a challenge. So when you have a faster paced band, it makes me personally have to paint faster. So I feel like I can get a lot more in a painting to an upbeat band.
And you're a musician yourself. I mean,
I am.
And, yeah, but we're doing the art today.
Yeah, well, that was it. I really love making music. I do. But for performing music in front of people, I always rather paint. I'd rather paint to music than play my own music, because it's a form of expression that will always be different. When I perform as a musician, it's usually the same songs in the same way, different order, but it's predictable. Art for me is very unpredictable, and that's why I love performing painting, because it's just always going to be different.
Yeah. Well, would you tell me what your hair is scratching the mic, and I just wonder whether everybody will hear some sort of musical noises. It's not like taking your fingers and doing it on a chalkboard. I don't know what a painting would look like if you did that. I mean, but maybe after you hear our discussion, you can paint a picture as to what it sounds like to you as well. I have to ask you also whether over the years you've chosen different monikers, whether, you know, I know you as Emily Jean, but I think in past times you have been, and now all of a sudden I'm looking at an email from you that said, La Nina. And I thought, is this about the weather? I mean, it's certainly calm, and I think weather is part of what you paint, but I hope I'm not embarrassing you by asking this.
No, I gave you my email address, and that was set up a very long time ago.
Yeah.
And before I was Emily Jean, I was La Nina, or the girl who paints, the girl who plays music. And so a friend of mine, in the wake of El Nino, when it first came about, nicknamed me La Nina. And that's one of my oldest nicknames, and I don't go by that very much anymore.
Yeah.
I go by Emily Jean. It's very simple, easy to sign on the painting. And that's been my artist name since.
Yes, yes, and I would frequently write M-L-E, the letters.
Yeah, and that
Emily.
actually, yeah, M-L-E was the phonetic way of spelling Emily. And I took that to the next level, and I made a nonprofit promotional company called Music Loves Everybody. And I just started this entity, MLE, in a way to help promote my art and my music. So it was Music Loves Everybody. It's a promotional thing, and I'm working on the website, musicloveseverybody.com.org, and I've taken a lot of the bands that have let me perform to them and used my Music Loves Everybody connections to promote them and get them future gigs.
And so when your website's up, what will it be called again?
musicloveseverybody.com or .org.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I can't imagine that Music Loves Everybody hasn't been already chosen. I mean, it's such a wonderful, universal.
Well,
almost.
music loves everybody, and I say that because bodies like to dance instead of like everyone. And I did pick that because of MLE. So, and it actually, I did do 2 promotional mix CDs with many of the bands I perform art to, where I've taken one of their tracks, put them on a compilation CD when I was, you know, back in the day when everyone used to have CD burners and play CDs. We did a CD called the Legendary CD. And it was one song from each up-and-coming band. This was back in 2007. And myself, I burned and copied 1,000 of those CDs, at least, with the information for each band and their website. And then a couple years later, I did another promotional music CD with all of these newer bands that were in the scene that were trying to get on, like get fans. You know, bands wanna get fans. So taking bands that have similar types of music and putting them all on a CD together and handing that out to people for free, because it's a nonprofit thing, just promotion. It was a way to give back to the music community that had done so much for me and my art. And the second CD was called The CD from the Future. And I always said that because to inspire all the bands that you're gonna make it, guys. You're gonna be there in the future. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna call it The CD from the Future. And on my 28th birthday, I got together with 4 or 5 other kids that had similar birthdays in December. We had an event with Dopapod, Auto Orbit, and Dirty Paris. And it sold out the venue, and we gave away 800 CDs. And it was just a big success, and I had a song from my band on there, and it was just a really good time. And it was, you know, the continuation of the Music Loves Everybody idea, and just promoting.
Well, the future will still have more of you to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, what's great now is it's a couple years later, and a lot of those bands that were on that CD are doing fantastic. I mean, it's just amazing to see how much the music scene has grown, and just being part of it, even doing the art in it, is just amazing.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad to have had this extra time to learn more about what you have done in the past and what obviously you're going to be doing in the future.
Is it obvious? Is it obvious? Am I going to keep doing the art, you think?
I think for a while that will be part of you. Yes, yes. What it morphs into, we'll see.
We
And
will.
in order for people to understand a little more of this, there are some clips left from the time that you were here, live from center stage. And so at the very end, after we've said goodbye to each other, folks, stay and you'll see some more about Emily Jean. Emily Jean, I'm so glad you were here.
Thank you for having me,
Oh,
Al.
gosh. A pleasure. And we'll see some more sundogs on Red River Beach in Harwich sometime
I hope so.
again.
I'm still waiting to see the green flash. That was the other thing you were telling me about.
Yes. Folks, that could be another whole program when suddenly the setting sun, as it's going down, all of a sudden, the last little bit, green flash. It's an optical event, and I've seen it a few times from an airplane as well as from Red River Beach once, but also from the bay. And not often that you get a chance to do it. And you got to be careful. Don't let your eyes stare at the sun, or else you won't be getting a true color. So thanks for watching Cape Connect, and we'll be back with other people, other issues, and all the possibilities. Thank
Thanks
you.
again. Here we go.
He's got too much pride, Lord, if you could see it in his navy eyes. Life is never painted in the black and white, oh, it's the gray between. It's got too much light, its silver chords will tremble in the bruise of night. Moon that blinks before the tangerine and broken stains of morning sky. And scattered on the birch trees of the mockingbirds who disagree on everything that fits the mind. What's lost and what's just hard to find. And blaring on the silver box are those who are only there to talk. So I will find a better way to speak. Ooh, 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 She's got a new fake tan, drinking pop culture from a silver can, staring from her bed into a lava lamp that bubbles up her thoughts about money and time, things that share a problematic love life. There, but get yourself up with the butter knife just when you hit your prime. And scattered on the dirty streets are the broken souls who disagree and beg for what you're offering. And all the while we're promising the rain will fall on fertile ground. There's no lost cause that can't be found. So I will find the growth in every seed. Ooh, 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 Well, it's a sketchy scene. Bottle caps littering the pothole street. Smoky waves of air in the crushing heat of nighttime in LA. And in a local park, boys flinging curse words into the dark, waiting for the day to mend their splintered hearts and duct tape displays. I'm standing by a marble wall, carving epitaphs of human faults. Why spend my whole life wondering if I find life more comforting? How can I invest my faith if what you give is what you take? But I will try to find the in-between. Ooh, ooh.